Yeah, good day guys. Today we're going to be taking a look at the new Assassin's Creed update and seeing if its performance is any better. And also you're going to be trying out the ultra low preset. And yeah, let's have a look. So the main benefit of this update is that we now have access to the ultra low preset, as I said. However, this is actually intended for low-end machines, but as we all know, the Mac port of Assassin's Creed Shadows is pretty limited, at least in my opinion, and I think a lot of people agree. So sadly, we need to use this ultra-low preset, even on high-end Macs, to get decent FPS. So here is my M3 Max MacBook Pro. Now in the benchmark mode, I'm seeing an average FPS of 79 FPS, and this is at ultra low with metal effects on performance. So in some ways, it is cool that we are getting 60 FPS on this machine, but in my humble opinion, I would like to be seeing this type of results at something like, I don't know, 1080p high with metal effects on quality, or even maybe I'm reaching too high, but 1440p. Just keep in mind, this is using Metal Effects Temporal Performance Mode, which is upscaling the resolution from 960 by 540 to 1920 by 1080. Now, with the more advanced Metal HUD enabled, we can see that if we compare this to the low preset, it is getting above 60 FPS. And also, it is compiling shaders less, which is good. Now, I did a comparison between the original version of AC Shadows and this, the newest version. And at 1080p medium, the difference isn't really that different for some reason. But there is actually quite a bit of difference if we use the Metal Effects Performance mode and at low settings. So it's definitely evident that this new version does improve performance, well, mostly with metal effects. I think the Metal HUD will give us good insight into the optimization of this new port. I'm not smart enough to understand a lot of it, but I imagine some of you in the comments will have some good feedback. Up next is my M4 Pro MacBook Pro. This is the ultra-low preset on this machine, and it is running at 1080p with metal effects on performance, and it is providing an average FPS of 65. In the past, Ubisoft said they would be working on the Mac version to better support 60 FPS. So in some ways, yes, they are hitting this target, but again, on this machine, which is one of the latest and greatest Macs, I would really like to be hitting 60 FPS at considerably higher settings than this. It's just, in my opinion, still not acceptable. Obviously, it's better, but I think there is a lot of room for optimization here on this port. Here is a comparison between ultra-low and low. Unfortunately, ultra-low still does see below 60 FPS in this scene, but we are hovering much closer to this target compared to low, which is below 50 at times. Here is a comparison between the latest version and the original 1.0.1 at 1080p medium. And we are seeing about the same results, 34 FPS. On this machine, compared to my M3 Max model, we are seeing around about the same performance, even at 1080p low with metal effects on performance. Here is a comparison between the versions and this scene, riding through the village, and the machine is compiling less shaders, which, again, is a good thing. But it's not really any different when you play it, like, just it feels the same. But maybe people who have a better understanding of the Metal HUD will be able to chime in on if it's running much better or not, I don't know. Now we are going to take a look at my M4 Mac Mini. At the ultra low preset and with metal effects on performance, is this machine able to hit 60 FPS? Obviously not. It's 47 FPS. But yeah, I think these results are kind of acceptable for this Mac Mini. I just would like it to be hitting it maybe at 1080p low or medium with higher metal effects scaling. And also, I found that the frame pacing is quite a bit better, so if you enable a 30 FPS cap, could be helpful. Again, I did a comparison between the original version of the game and this new version, and at 1080p medium, it's providing similar results, like +2 FPS. I also tried comparing both versions, again at 1080p low, with metal effects on performance, and we're seeing 34 FPS in the new version and 31 in the original. So that's something. Slightly better performance, which, it can help with frame pacing and all that, if you don't mind aiming for a 30 FPS target. But overall, even at 1080p low, we're still getting below 30 FPS, at least in this scene. And our last machine to take a look at is my M3 iMac. This is the ultra low preset running on this machine. And this is, again, at 1080p ultra low with metal effects on performance. And we're hitting an average FPS of 40. Now, if we compare this to the low preset, in this scene where we are riding through the village, we are now hitting about 30 FPS. What I will say is with this machine, it is doing quite a lot of shader compilation, and we can see all of this with the more advanced metal HUD options here.
I'll send you to your father. Now you'll pay for all you've taken.
If we compare the game to the original version, 1.0.1 at 900p medium, we are seeing about the same FPS, maybe like +1. And if we compare it to the scene riding through the village again, it is pretty similar. This is 1080p low with metal effects on performance, but it's still not providing us with 30 FPS. Overall, I still don't really recommend this port in its current state. I think it still needs a lot of work. I do give some credit to Ubisoft. They have continued to update this port, so there's that, and I think they're obviously going to continue doing so, so I think it's only going to get better from here on out. I do hope that they update the port with Metal 4 and new metal effects features and maybe frame generation. That might help as well, and also the game forces ray tracing so heavily, it would be good if that could somehow be lowered. I also briefly, Mac Pro Tips recorded some gameplay on his M1 Mac Mini with 16 gig of RAM at the ultra low preset, and this is 720p, and it's still unplayable, which I was expecting. I don't think this game is ever going to support M1 or M2 Macs because of just how old they are, and also because they don't support hardware accelerated ray tracing. But that's all this video is, guys, just to give you a bit of a demonstration of what the game is like now and if you want to purchase it or not. Some people might be fine with how it runs, others will not. It's just going to be up to personal opinion, I guess. So yeah, see ya.